Hey friends, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Q&A video answering some questions that got submitted to me through Instagram. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Jenna. I'm a full-time clothing reseller on the Poshmark app, and I just share my whole journey here on YouTube as well as on Instagram. I know it's been a couple weeks since I made a video. I've kind of been focusing on my health and just listing the past couple weeks, but I'm back and I thought what better way to come back than a Q&A video because I love answering your questions. I've done Q&As in the past. I kind of do them every couple months, and while some of the questions are always consistent or very similar, I sometimes change my mind. I might have a different perspective or answer, and there's always something new to be learned. So hopefully you guys will enjoy this video, and of course this is just my opinion, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. It's, you know, totally up to you how you want to run your business. There's no right way or wrong way. It's just, again, a different view into how you can maybe do things, or maybe something that can help you with your reselling business. So let's go ahead and get into the questions. I know I'm not going to be able to get to everything, but hopefully I can get through quite a few. I know sometimes I can talk and go off on a little bit of a tangent, so I'm going to try not to do that today, but maybe this video can keep you company while you're listing or sharing or driving in the car, whatever you're doing. And thank you guys for joining me. Okay, so these are in absolutely no particular order. I'm just gonna straight up go through them. Okay, the first question is, did you notice a difference in sales after you really started curating your closet? And the short answer is yes, I definitely noticed a difference. Before, I used to sell kind of anything and everything, and a couple of years ago I started really honing in on my style and my aesthetic, building my brand and curating my closet to a more like boho kind of Western casual vibe. And the main thing that I've noticed in the difference with sales is the increase in repeat customers. I've built a loyal clientele. They buy bundles on a consistent basis. You know, I can bring people in and they kind of know what to expect when they come to my closet. So I think that really helps in selling more bundles, having those repeat customers, and just people finding your closet that have that style, know they can shop with you over and over again, versus sometimes selling one-off items that, you know, that person might not come back ever again because they were just looking for that one item. So yes, I have noticed a difference. Nancy asked, how is wholesale going? Any big surprises? What is the biggest lesson that you have learned? So for those of you who don't know, I have been selling boutique items on Poshmark over the last year, which is basically when I purchase wholesale from a vendor, a manufacturer, and I sell those items as brand new. And I have really loved boutique because it's allowed me to expand as far as my product offering and bringing in different sizes and different styles that I might not always be able to find at the thrift store. So I have liked it in that aspect. I will say it is very, very expensive. I knew that going in, but I don't think I realized how expensive it was until I really started going to market multiple times. So I go to an apparel market to pick out my inventory, and I want to have quality items. I don't want to just buy like, you know, something because it's cheap. So the items that I usually went for or go for are more expensive, and in turn I also have to sell those at a higher price, especially because Poshmark does have a 20% fee. So the margins are a little bit smaller on wholesale, and that's something that I guess surprised me a little bit more because I thought it could have been a little bit different. I didn't know until I was out there shopping these items how much wholesale stuff costs, because I think people go in there thinking it's super, super cheap, and it is not cheap at all. And yeah, there's just a lot of expenses that go into it, but I do enjoy it. I like offering those unique sizes and unique pieces, so I'm gonna continue to do it, but I might not do it as large of a scale as I have been doing. So we'll see. What do you use to edit your YouTube videos? I use iMovie. Super simple. I honestly did not know anything about editing or YouTube or anything before I started my channel. And when I first started, it used to take me hours to edit and upload a video. That was a couple of years ago. I used to just watch YouTube videos on how to edit on iMovie. Like I said, I knew nothing, and I've just learned the more that I've done it, and I've also gotten faster the more that I've done it, which is nice. It doesn't take me hours anymore unless it's like a really involved video with like music and different cuts and things like that. So iMovie is my answer. What's your normal strategy when you thrift? Do you always start in one area? And I used to kind of have a consistent strategy, I guess you could say, but now I just kind of go by whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm looking for. I do look at shoes most of the time first because shoes are usually pretty picked over where I am, so I like to look at shoes, and then it just depends if I feel like I need more t-shirts in my closet, if I need more denim. Usually it's what I'm looking for at the moment is where I start, but I end up looking at pretty much the whole store most of the time. Okay, someone asked, do you participate in CCO, which if you're on Poshmark, CCO is closet clear out, where you drop your prices and it offers the buyer discounted shipping for a short period of time. The answer is no, I do not participate in that. I really never have. I never noticed a big increase in sales from it. What I like to do is offers to likers, and I usually do that about once a month or so. I'll send offers to likers on all the items in my closet. To me, that's usually more beneficial than just dropping prices. I don't like having my items on sale, and when you drop prices, I think people start to expect you to sell things at a lower price, so I just don't do it at all. How do you find estate sales? What helps you decide which ones to go to, especially when they're far? So I've mentioned it before, but I use estatesales.net. It's a website/app where you can put in your zip code. It works all over the country, and you can find estate sales that are near you or far from you, however far you're willing to drive, and there are usually pictures on there. The pictures aren't always great. You can't always see everything. There might just be one picture of a closet. So honestly, it's kind of a gamble. I usually look for the ones that have shoes, clothing, bags, things like that, whatever I'm looking for in pictures. And sometimes in the description, they will also write like what types of clothing they have. I also look at the pictures of the furnishings in the home, and I try to see if there's something that's my style, that looks nice, meaning they might have nice clothing. So it's really hard to tell, but looking at pictures is what I try to do. But sometimes you go and you find stuff, and sometimes you find nothing. It's just kind of a gamble. Okay, Bailey asked, do you ever feel burnout towards thrifting or taking pictures or listing? And the answer is yes. Definitely. This job can be very repetitive, and it is a lot of work. I think a lot of people don't realize, you know, everything that goes into finding an item, getting it cleaned, getting it photographed, getting it listed, selling it, shipping it, etc. It's a lot. And you're doing this over and over again for, you know, hundreds and thousands of items. It can definitely get old even if you absolutely love it. So for me, what's really important is taking time off, taking time away. And what I've been doing this year, and it's worked really well for me, is not working on the weekends. I know, as simple as it seems, taking 2 days off from, you know, taking pictures, listing, etc. I still share and do shipping. I don't really count those, but just basically stepping away from that whole like reselling mentality and like having a life and doing normal things has really helped me in not feeling burnt out, because I used to go nonstop every day. I felt like I had to work all the time in order to be successful, and it's just not the case. It was a lot of pressure I was putting on myself, and even in the past month or so, just realizing taking a couple days off each week, it's really like revived me and rejuvenated me and just made me want to work harder. So I think it's just important to take time for yourself and do things that you love doing. How many active listings do you currently have? Let me check because I don't know. I think it's somewhere around 1,000. I'm gonna pull up my stats right now. Okay, I currently have 1,070 active listings, and I'd say that's a good number for me. I used to keep it around 700 or 800. It's increased lately, especially with boutique items, and that honestly isn't even all the items I have. That's just how many listings I have. Some listings are multiple quantities, so I probably have closer to like 1,700 items right now. But yeah, 1,070 active listings is where I'm at. I don't try and have a specific number. Usually I look at my total value dollar amount in my closet. I try to keep that at a certain number because usually I sell a certain percent each month. I know my like sell-through percentage, and if I have the dollar amount at a certain number, realistically or ideally I would sell a certain dollar amount, a certain percent of that. Do you have a separate debit card, credit card that you only use for sourcing? So I do have a separate checking account for my business, and I do have a debit card associated with that. So yes, I keep all my finances separate as far as personal and business. It's definitely a lot easier to keep track of everything that way, and of course you know exactly how much you're spending on inventory and then how much money you have in your personal account that you can live on / savings and things like that. So I think it's better to keep it separated if you can, for sure. What is the first thing you do in the morning reseller related? The first thing I always do is share my Poshmark closet. I usually do that while I'm having coffee, and that's just kind of to wake up my store, share my listings, get them moved up in search results, and I always do that right away. The next thing I usually do is shipping, because I also like to get that out of the way, but sharing is first. Do you have any tips or tricks when checking items for flaws at thrift stores? I don't. I wish I had a better process. I still miss stuff all the time. If you guys watch some of my thrift miss videos, I showed you guys flaws that I missed when I was sourcing. Honestly, I could check my items 100 times and I'll come home and there's a hole or a stain that I did not see. So someone told me before to go take your items closer to the windows or the doors at Goodwill. Not all the Goodwills I go to have good lighting or even windows that are large enough, so I don't know. I just try and look as closely as I can, but the lighting in thrift stores is usually terrible, so if I miss something, I miss it. Usually if it's like a stain or something, I can get it out most of the time. I also have an amazing seamstress and alterations lady who helps me fix holes and stuff like that, so that's really nice. With being self-employed, what do you do about healthcare? So you're responsible for your own healthcare. You can get it through the marketplace, private health insurance. You know, do your research and see what works best for you. Cost is going to be all over the place just depending on your condition, so it's something you can look into before you're even full-time and figure out if that's something maybe you can afford, or how you want to do that, but you are responsible for it on your own. Do you have a set date on when you pay yourself with your Poshmark earnings? So I deposit all my Poshmark earnings into my business account, and then I pay myself a certain amount weekly, and then I also transfer a certain amount to a savings account, and in the savings account is just like what I set aside for savings, personal accounts, living, and then everything else I leave in my business account, and I can use that for inventory, expenses, taxes, etc. So that's why I think, like I mentioned before, having separate accounts is really important, but definitely staying on track of it, and I think paying yourself helps to legitimize it and also know exactly how much you're making and how much you can afford to put back into your business. At what point did you realize you could be a full-time seller on Poshmark? I was selling part-time. When I first started, I had a full-time job, and Poshmark was just like my side hobby almost. I didn't even really consider it like a part-time job. I didn't know reselling was a thing in the beginning, and I was just making extra money, but I started making more money on Poshmark than I was making at my actual job, and I was still only putting in part-time hours. I wasn't giving it my all, so I knew if I could give it my all, I was already making basically a full-time income. I could make, you know, as much as I wanted. The potential was unlimited, so at that point I knew that, just knowing my work ethic, I knew I could put more into it and make even more and support myself. So at that point, I just decided to give it a go. That was a long time ago. I've been selling full-time for about 4.5 years now. I've been selling since 2015. We're going into 2020. So I went full-time pretty quick. Things were also different back then. It was 5 years ago, but yeah, it's been a wild ride. Do you have someone sharing your closet? No, I share my own closet. I have a video I've made before about how I share quickly. It usually takes me about 20 to 30 minutes to share my 1,000+ items. I share on an iPad Pro, and it's pretty quick. This is my full-time job, so I just consider that a part of my day, and if I share twice a day, that takes me maybe an hour out of, let's say I work 8 hours. So I just consider it a daily task, so I share my own closet. Okay, I like this question. When sourcing for current trends, do you think brand or style is more important? I definitely think style, especially when you're looking at trendier items. So I think a lot of times people want to have that trend. They don't necessarily care about the brand. They want to have a certain look. And I'm always a big believer in style over brand. There are times where brand will sell, but it doesn't mean it's always going to sell if it's a popular brand, if it's out of style. So I think you need to know the trends, the styles, what people are looking for, and judge an item by the style and also the quality. Make sure it's good quality, but I don't think it's necessarily as important for it to be a brand name. Make sure you're putting the keywords in the listings of what people are searching for with that trend. How many items do you try to list a day? I don't have a set number. Like I said before, I try to maintain a certain dollar amount in my closet, so if I'm selling a lot, I need to list a lot more to replace that inventory, but I do try to list a little bit each day. Lately, I've been listing around 10 to 15 items a day, but there's not, you know, a hard and fast number that you need to hit. And I don't feel like I have this pressure of where I need to list like 50 items a day. I think I used to think like that in the beginning, that if I just listed a ton every day, that I was gonna sell a ton. And for me, it's more about quality and consistency than just listing a ton of items. I would rather list, you know, even 5 really good items than list 50 items of just whatever that I don't really care about, because then those items might be sitting in your closet. You're gonna have to share those items, and you know, if you had just listed 5 that were really quality that people are looking for, those could sell even faster. So I don't think there's a set number for me. Again, I look more at dollar amount than number of items, and also quality. What do you do when thrift store employees shame you for reselling? I've never experienced that myself. Honestly, I think there's a lot of resellers out there. A lot of thrift store employees know there are resellers, and I've just never experienced anyone being negative about it. I mean, you're in there spending money just like anyone else. You're buying the items at the price they have them listed for. It's not like you're, I don't know, trying to like do some kind of shady move. So I've never experienced any kind of negativity. Lots of questions about listings. How many listings do you recommend? I heard people say when they have 1,000, it slows. There's no magic number. I've, you know, like I mentioned before, I had around 700 to 800 before, and now I'm at 1,000 plus. I am having more sales now, but again, I think I'm having quality items. I'm definitely more of a curated closet, more of a niche, and I don't think the number matters as much. I don't think we should focus on a number. I think even if you had like 400 or 500 items that were really good quality items that people are looking for, you could have more sales than someone that has 2,000 items in their closet. So I'd say focus on the quality, not the number of items. What is the most you would spend on an item to flip? So I don't have like a set number of how much I would or wouldn't spend. I would just take a look at the item and the sold listings. If I think it's something that's in demand and could sell quickly and make a good profit, I am willing to invest more money in it. But if it's an item that's pretty common, that has maybe a lower profit margin, and it's gonna be expensive, I don't think it's worth it to spend my money and just have that sitting in inventory. So definitely keep in mind like completed or sold listings and how quickly it would flip for items that are going to cost more money, in my opinion. That was my like thought process behind it. Can you overshare your items on Posh? I find myself doing it nonstop. In my opinion, no. I don't think there is necessarily like an oversharing amount. You're moving your items to the top of feed, and you know, you might be able to get more eyes on your items. Now, I think if you're spending all your time sharing and not listing, then that could be a problem. I definitely prioritize listing over sharing because I want to have new items come in, and I think that can help you boost your closet in the algorithm somehow, is by consistently listing new items. Of course, sharing is important, but I wouldn't put that as number one. How do you balance Poshmark, YouTube, and Instagram? I don't do a very good job at it. As you can tell, I just took 2 weeks off of YouTube because I was feeling a little overwhelmed by everything, but I think it would be good if I could get into a routine or a schedule. I have never been someone that's been really good at like planning and organizing a specific routine, because I kind of like to do what I'm feeling in the moment. And I think if I was a little more organized, I could manage it better. But that's the reason I stopped selling on eBay, is because it was too much for me with Poshmark, eBay, YouTube, and Instagram, and I do everything by myself. So I kind of took a step back and realized where my time was best spent and what was best for me in my business, and that was selling all on Poshmark and then also focusing on YouTube and Instagram. So those are my only sources of income. How many hours a week are you putting into Poshmark? Do you keep a schedule? So I don't keep a strict schedule as far as times that I work. I would say I work usually 5 days a week between 8 to 12 hours a day, just depending on what I need to get done. Like I mentioned before, I've been taking the weekends off, which has been really nice. So I have been focusing just during the week, and it just depends how many tasks I have. And I also am not much of a morning person, so I usually do a lot more work in the evening if I don't have any plans in the evening. But it's nice because it is flexible. So if I want to do most of my work in the morning, I can do that, and then I could do something in the middle of the day and then go back to work at the end of the night. So I would say 5 days a week between 8 to 12 hours per day. Would you consider opening another closet for items you know will make you money but isn't your style? No, because it's enough work having one closet. I cannot even imagine having two and having to do all the work that goes into that and having sales. So no, I'll leave those items for other sellers or other people to find and enjoy. I'm just gonna pick up what I know works for me and what is gonna sell for me. Do you have a budget weekly, monthly that you spend for your inventory? No, I don't have a specific budget. I don't buy inventory unless I need it, so I don't go out sourcing if I still have a bunch of stuff to list, because then I feel like I'm ending up spending too much money and I'm not making enough sales because I'm not listing all the new items. So I don't have a set dollar amount, but honestly it kind of works out every month where I spend around the same amount. It's been weird. It's been like that for the last year or so as far as reselling goes. And then as far as boutique items, I do have a budget for that because that's very expensive, and I do stick to that. But as far as thrifted items, I don't have a budget. Okay, I see a lot of questions on taxes as always. Someone asked, was writing things down for your tax return hard for you? So I have an accountant and he does everything for me. He asks for certain numbers, I give him all those numbers, and he compiles my tax return and tells me how much money I owe and, you know, how much I should put into my retirement accounts and things like that. So I highly recommend talking to a professional because it just makes life easier. I've never even attempted to do my own reselling taxes since I've been a full-time reseller. Even since I've been part-time and I filed it along with like my full-time job, my accountant has done absolutely everything. So talk to a professional and I think it can definitely ease your concerns. What are your suggestions for those just starting to sell on Poshmark? So I think it's really interesting time because when I started selling, there was like no information out there like there is now. Like no one had YouTube channels, there was no Instagram community. I didn't really have anyone to turn to get information. So I think it can be a little detrimental sometimes having all this information out there because it can be overwhelming. You can think, oh, I need to have all these tools and things like that in order to be successful. And when you're first starting out, you really don't need any of that. You need to figure out if you like it, first of all, if you like selling stuff online, and also figure out what works for you. So even though I have a niche closet and I talk a lot about curating my style, when I first started and kind of in the middle, I experimented a little more and I was selling stuff that I thought, you know, might sell or was a good brand, and I quickly realized what was and wasn't for me, but I wouldn't have experienced that if I hadn't have tried. So I think what you should do is just try it out, just start. Don't put it off. I hear a lot of people saying like, I'm waiting to start reselling because I need to get X, Y, and Z. Like you don't need anything. You take all your pictures on your phone, you can take them outside in natural light and, you know, print your labels at the library if you don't even have a printer. So I think just getting started and don't get in your own head about things, I think that's really important. Have you ever found money in the pocket of jeans or shorts? No, I wish. I see people posting about that. That's never happened to me. Do you buy inventory to last you for a long time, or do you buy in small batches? So it just depends on what I find. I don't have like a limit that I'm looking for. It's really hard for me to find a big amount at one time because I do have such a specific style that I'm looking for. So usually the most that I buy, I want to say it's around like 20 to 30 items at once. Lately I've been finding like 5 or 6 items at one time, sometimes 1 or 2. So I just buy inventory when I need it. So if I go out thrifting one day and I only get like 5 items and I list them that night, I'm gonna go out thrifting again the next day. If I buy like 30 items and I can't get them listed for like 2 or 3 days, then I'm not gonna go sourcing for 2 or 3 days. So it's just based on what I find. Experience using ThredUp or the RealReal, yay or nay? So ThredUp and the RealReal, I used to use them more at the beginning of my reselling journey. I honestly haven't used them in years. I just feel like it's not worth it to me. I would rather sell the items on my own and, you know, get more of a profit from it versus just sending them in and hoping they can sell them. I know it can be good for some people for items that might not sell well for them in their closet, but I just would rather not even deal with it, with picking up the items, sending them in, you know, waiting on all that. I'd rather just sell myself. So I don't really like using other resale sites like that. But I know there's a lot of people out there, I see it on Instagram, that make a lot of money from ThredUp. Do you have any tips on how to reach daily sales? I see a lot of questions in here about getting daily sales, or is there a certain number of listings you need to have in order to have daily sales? And what it boils down to is there's no magic recipe, which I know is what people don't want to hear. But again, going back to what I talked about before, having those items that people are looking for, that are in demand, that people are searching for, that are good quality, you know, keeping in mind pricing, looking at comps, not being too all over the place as far as like way too high or way too low. I think that's really important. And also being consistent. So I will say the one thing that I think can help you get to daily sales is being consistent as far as your listing goes, and sharing as well, but listing over sharing, as far as listing at least, daily or every other day, and being consistent with it. So if you have like 30 items to list, for instance, and you list those 30, but you're not going to be able to list for a few days, I think that can hurt you in the long run. I think it's better to list a few items each day versus all at once. I think listing daily is going to really help you to bring more people to your closet, because they'll see that you have new items coming in. I think it helps you in the algorithm, and yeah, that can help lead to more consistent sales as far as daily sales go. But it definitely takes time. I know it can get frustrating, especially in the beginning, like, why don't I have daily sales yet? I would say to get really consistent sales, it took me at least like a year before I had consistent daily sales. Yeah, so it's gonna take a while, but listing more consistently is definitely gonna help. How do you motivate yourself to list? I hate listing. Actually, I think listing is one of my least favorite tasks as well. I don't mind taking photos. Of course, I love sourcing, but something about listing, I agree with you, it's not the best, but if an item's not listed, it can't sell. And I personally am really motivated by having sales and like meeting my sales numbers and goals. So I list because that's what you have to do. So just like push yourself to do it. Maybe give yourself a reward, something that you enjoy doing. If you list, your 10 items a day, maybe you can have some kind of treat, or like go walk around your neighborhood, or I don't know, whatever you want to do to reward yourself. Oh, I see a couple questions about the Peloton, which I love. So a lot of these questions obviously are about Poshmark, but I do share some of my personal life and other things on my Instagram at EMPTYHANGER, so you guys should follow me on there. But someone asked, what is your Peloton username? It's just EMPTYHANGER, same as pretty much everything else. So follow me on there, I'll follow you guys, and we can motivate each other. If you don't know, the Peloton is like a spin bike that you have at home, and you can take live classes, stream them, you can take other classes with friends, and I don't know, it's really fun. That's been my workout of choice. I've been doing it every single day. For the last, I'm on like a 16-day streak right now. I'm going out of town in a few weeks, and I'm trying to do it every day until my vacation. So follow me, EMPTYHANGER, let me know your username. And someone else did ask, are you still going to make a Peloton video? I talked about that in the past. So I don't know, because a lot of my videos are so focused around reselling. I don't know if that would be weird for me to have like a random video about the Peloton, but maybe. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comment section down below. Someone asked for eco-friendly recs for storage and shipping supplies. So I've recently started ordering a lot of my shipping supplies from ecoenclose.com, and that's where I get my like clear plastic baggies now that I store stuff in. They are recycled, and I'm also starting to order my poly mailers from there. They haven't come in yet because I get mine branded, so they do custom branded poly mailers and boxes and things like that as well that are recycled. So I'm gonna have more about that later. It's not sponsored, I found them on my own, but I want to do a video about more sustainable packaging later on, so stay tuned for that. Okay, I also showed in my Instagram stories yesterday this huge photo booth that I ordered, and someone asked, where did I get the extra large photo booth? I ordered it on Amazon. I didn't link it in my Instagram stories because I literally had just put it together yesterday and showed it. I haven't even used it yet. It's very, very expensive. I thought about it for a couple months before I took the plunge and ordered it, and I've only used it once, so I can't really like give a full review on it, but I do think it's pretty amazing. But it is $379, so that's a lot of money. So I didn't want to link it and be like, oh, you need to buy this $379 photo booth in order to be successful, because that is not the case. I started out using no lights, then I used like $60 softbox lights, then I upgraded to LED lights, and now I got this huge photo booth. But I do love it so far, so I will link it in the description box down below if you want to check it out. It's from Amazon, like I said, but it is very expensive. It is not necessary, but it is kind of nice because everything is set up for you, and I can do a video about it in the future. I'm planning on doing a video about it, but like I said, I've only used it for one day, so I can't make an informed like video or review on it yet because I need to use it more. How did you increase the visibility of your online stores and items? So this day and age, I think social media is so important. I know that contributes a lot to my sales and my success. In order to bring people into my closet, I am basically doing more marketing on social media. So posting stuff on Instagram. I post a lot of pictures of like, you know, my cart at Goodwill or items that I'm finding just to create a little bit of buzz or hype, and hopefully those people go look in my closet. I'm creating videos and things like this. Of course, I am giving out information, but of course those people are then gonna maybe go look at my closet and they might potentially turn into a buyer. So I think just social media exposure is really important, and not just relying on, you know, whatever platform you're using to bring the customers to you. I think it's important to also drive the customers there yourself. And then another thing that I've been doing for the last couple months is utilizing Pinterest. I love Pinterest. I love looking on there and getting inspiration, and I have been pinning items that are for sale in my closet, as well as pinning my Instagram posts in order to hopefully just find more customers that way. So I think looking at all avenues of social media can help your business. What are your different sources of income? I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I have Poshmark as my main income, reselling, and then also I make some money from ads here on YouTube, a small amount, and then affiliate marketing. So if I recommend items or products and it's an affiliate link, I get a small commission on that. Those are my three main sources of income. I also have started in the last month selling like on Instagram once a week, but that is like a very, very small amount, like 20 items or less once a week. So, you know, that's very small, but my main source of income is Poshmark, and then a small amount from YouTube and affiliate links. So that is it. What are your month-to-date goals? I love this question because I am a very goal-oriented and motivated person, so I always set goals, and I only usually set a couple per month because I don't want to be overwhelmed. So for February, I do have a sales goal, and I'm trying to increase my sales 8% over last year's sales. So I usually look at like how my sales are trending as far as that goes for the previous months, and then I look at my numbers from last year, how much inventory I have, and kind of figure out realistically what's a goal I can hit. So 8% right now is my goal. And then my other goals are social media. So I have been posting on Instagram more. It's really hard for me to focus on everything, but posting on Instagram every couple days as far as a feed post, and then maintaining stories has been important to me this month. And we're only a couple days into the month, so that's pretty much it as far as business. And then like I mentioned before, I am on like my workout grind until my vacation, so I have been doing the Peloton every single day, and that is a goal of mine this month as well. So those three goals are what I want to accomplish. If an item doesn't sell after a certain time, do you mark it down, remove it, consign it, etc.? So I'm a really patient person. I also have a lot of storage space, so I pretty much let my items sit for a while. If it takes a while for an item to sell, that's okay with me, especially like the more unique items. But if I've had an item for probably like over a year and there's no action on it, maybe it's gone stale, what I typically do is just take it to like a buy sell trade store like Plato's Closet or Buffalo Exchange or something like that, and I'll see if they will take it, and in turn I usually spend that credit towards an item that hopefully I can sell faster and make my money that way. But I sit on my items for quite a while, and I've gotten a lot better, I think, even within the last like 4 to 6 months of really honing in on my style and knowing what items sell for me, and being pickier, even pickier than I already am at the store. And I think items are selling faster for me. So I would say I don't have items that sit as long as I used to, although I have some items left over that I probably need to take to like Plato's Closet. What is your favorite part about reselling? Honestly, for me, the fact that I get to own my own time, I think is amazing. I love being able to work when I want, to be able to work late at night or sleep in if I need to, and not having to basically be under someone else's schedule, and doing what has worked best for me. And I feel like it's really improved my quality of life because I'm not as stressed out, and I again can just kind of do the things I always wanted to do. For instance, like going on trips and vacations. When I had a full-time corporate job, you know, you have your 2 weeks of PTO and you're really limited, and I felt like I had to say no to so many things. And I think now it's just so nice I can be able to say yes to so many things and just enjoy life and still work and make a living at the same time, but do it on my own terms. So that's what I really love. Also, just finding those really cool items and selling them and sending them off to a new home. Like the other day I sold this really cool embroidered silk jacket and it went to Alaska. Like, I rescued this item from a thrift store in Georgia. It's gorgeous, and now it's going to its new home in Alaska. Like, I just think that's so cool. So those are the 2 things I love most. Okay, what if you don't have a body form or fancy backdrops? No problem. You don't need any of those things. You can lay your item on the floor. You can lay it outside on just like your driveway where it's plain concrete. You can hang a little command hook on your wall and take your photos against the wall. Don't feel like you need all those special things, because you don't. I didn't have any of that stuff when I first started selling, and even when I went full time, I think I had switched to a backdrop at that point, but I still didn't have a lot of the stuff that I have now. So you don't need it, and it's not necessary. The day that I'm filming this, Wednesday, February 5th, Poshmark actually increased their shipping rate today. It happens every single year because the United States Postal Service increases their shipping rates every year. It's just a part of life. It's inflation. It's the world we live in. So I did see a couple questions about this. Does the increase in shipping ever concern you for your business? So I really try not to let it affect me. Honestly, Posh Post, the rate they have negotiated, it has gone up, I think 32 cents from what it was. It was $6.79, now it's $7.11 for priority mail up to 5 pounds. That's pretty amazing, because if I was to send a priority mail package you know, from Georgia to California that was 5 pounds, it would probably be like 3 times the cost of the Poshmark negotiated rate. So I think where it comes into play is maybe smaller items or items that might not necessarily have that much value. You really need to think about what you're sourcing, and I know I'm sourcing items that are unique, that are quality, that people really want, and I think they might be willing to pay that shipping price. So I just take it as part of doing business. It doesn't really concern me, because it's just something that's going to happen no matter what. If anything, maybe there's going to be like a couple of days of, you know, uncertainty, but things are going to go back to normal. It always does, because this happens literally every single year, and things are fine. So try not to stress about it. It's 32 cents, and if you want to build, you know, that into your cost of goods, into your listing price, you can, and offer people free shipping. But I don't do that, because I've just found that free shipping never works for me. So I let the buyer pay the shipping. What's now number 1 on your thrifting bucket list? Hashtag inquiring minds. So I still want to find Rothy's myself. Grandma Hanger found Rothy's, and then I have found this brand once before at a buy sell trade, but I want to find it at the thrift store. Is Spell and the Gypsy. That's like my number 1. I don't know why. I love that brand. Your least favorite category to source? It is dresses. I hate looking through dresses. They're always packed. It's like up high. It's a shoulder workout, and I don't know, dresses don't sell as well for me, so usually it's like the last thing I look for at the thrift store, and if I don't have time, I skip dresses, because I don't know, I just don't enjoy it. Tops is my number 1. I love selling tops, t-shirts, things like that. Ooh, okay, Regina, New York Posher, if you guys don't follow her on Instagram, you should. She just asked me, what is the hardest part of being a full-time reseller? Because she just went full-time, and I think the hardest part is motivating yourself and yeah, making yourself work, because there's no one else telling you what you have to do and what you need to do. You know what you need to do, but sometimes it's really tempting to just lay on the couch and binge watch an entire Netflix series, but you need to sell and make money and make an income, right? So you have to motivate yourself to work. Just figure out what's gonna motivate you. Like for me, having goals motivates me. Right now, taking the weekend off and knowing I'm gonna have 2 days off motivates me to work harder the 5 days that I am working. So I think just like staying on track, staying accountable to yourself, maybe even find, this is a good tip too, maybe find someone else in the reseller community. They can be online, it doesn't have to be in person, that will be like your accountability partner, and talk to them every day. Or message them every day what your tasks are that you want to work on, and then check in at the end of the day and see if you completed those tasks. So keeping each other accountable, that can be really helpful. I've done that in the past. I really need to get back on that. Okay, and the last question I'm going to answer, because again, this video is super long. Will you ever venture out and sell locally? And actually, this is from my girl Alana, Try On Thrift, and the answer I always say is no, but I think I'm thinking a like storefront. I don't want to have like a retail storefront, but I have seen Alana selling at flea markets recently, or like little artist markets, and I think that could be really cool. So that's something I want to look into. I'm not exactly sure where in the city in Atlanta that they have that, and I also would want to make sure it's like an audience that my clothing, I guess, or my style would match with, because I know there's like really preppy areas of the city, and if I were to go there with all my like boho styles, I don't think I would sell anything. So maybe I will do some kind of like flea market or fair in the next coming year or so, but I will not have a storefront because online is where it's at. So that is it. Thank you guys so much for submitting your questions, for watching this video, and please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy Q&As. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you in my next video.